Hi, we're the KinderJet family.
These are our crazy kids.
Traveling with them is expensive. They each need their own airplane seat, hotel bed. They insist on eating.
It's stressful. Must they go so close to the edge?
It's exhausting. These dudes have way more energy than we do.
So why do we travel with our kids? Because it is fun, rewarding, and always worth it.
Welcome to KinderJet. Here we go.
When deciding on affordable, convenient family travel plans from southern Alberta, Los Angeles comes to mind. Flights are relatively short and inexpensive. The weather is pretty good almost any time of year. And there are lots of sights and activities to keep your family busy and make great memories.
Our second day in Los Angeles. We hopped out of bed to start our day, only to see it was pouring rain outside. After breakfast, it did not look like it was letting up. What can you do when it's raining in LA?
The Griffith Observatory. This was our first visit to the observatory, and although we didn't know exactly what to expect, we were pretty sure our family of space nuts would like it. And we were right.
Admission to the observatory is free, but there's a small charge, $7 for adults, to see the planetarium shows. We bought tickets when we came in for the next available show. By the way, kids under 5 are only allowed in the first show each day.
We had time before the show, so we started looking around the Mason Hall of the Sky exhibit area. This was all about the moon and the sun and our relationship to them. The older boys have just started studying the moon in school, so they were very interested in this area. I really like it when they are learning without realizing it. And it was fun to watch the little one make more connections about how the moon goes around the Earth and the Earth goes around the sun.
The Samuel Ocean Planetarium was impressive even before the show started. Even though it was still raining outside, blue sky above in there. The show was interesting, informative, and fun for all ages, from the little one to grandma.
After the planetarium experience, we noticed the rain had stopped, so we ventured out onto the observation terrace for some fresh air and a fantastic view.
Then, big surprise, we all got hungry. Luckily, down a few stairs, we found the cafe at the end of the universe. Snacks and treats and drinks to get us through. A quick stop at the Stellar Emporium gift shop, where we had to return twice to buy something for a kid who changed his mind and then exchange something that was not working. The staff were really helpful. We picked up a couple of books about space for the kids and a travel mug for us.
And there are those totally useless souvenirs that they absolutely had to have, but they spent their own money and really enjoyed them. And then a stroll through the impressive Gunther Depths of Space exhibit, based on observation of space from space. Next, another short movie about the Griffith legacy. It covered the history, significance, and the renovation of the observatory.
Then, back upstairs to the Wilder Hall of the Eye exhibit area. This focused more on how we observe the sky from here on Earth. It was getting crowded at this point, which made it hard to really look at the exhibits, so we decided it was a good time to head out.
The Griffith Observatory is situated on top of Mount Hollywood in Griffith Park. It is a wonderful spot to get great shots of LA. And the observatory itself is quite photogenic too. And don't forget a snap of the Hollywood sign for me. The only thing you have to pay for here is the planetarium show. It is definitely worth it.
This was one place I really wished we had brought our own food, and on a nice day, it would be a great picnic spot.
Highlight for the kids.
Learning about the moon.
Learning about the planets. The planetarium show.
Highlight for the parents. Yep, the planetarium show.
We stayed dry. We were entertained. We learned a little something. The Griffith Observatory. A great rainy day or any day activity in Los Angeles.
Do you have any tips for flying with kids?
Yeah, bring some movies with a little DVD portable. I guess breastfeeding helps. And some little cookies.
I just made sure I called the airline to figure out like what I can bring with him, what I can't do, and get all those details, and wrote it all down so I remembered it, and just pack a couple days in advance so I'm not stressed in the morning.
Do you have any tips for flying with kids?
Come prepared. Bring lots of stuff on the airplane. That's what we always do. They have their own backpack, and we pack it full of dollar store toys.
They never let us see what's in there.
No,
so then it's
no, we wait till we get on the
surprise
airplane. Yeah.
Always have a DVD in your vehicle. Yes, a DVD player. That always helps.
Plan ahead and bring emergency packs just in case the flight's delayed, and have lots of different entertainment because their attention span's only a few minutes long, so you need lots of different ways to entertain them.
Just relax. Like, I wasn't stressed, and I think that's why she wasn't stressed, so that's my tip.
I can't explain why, but I've always wanted to go to medieval times dinner and tournament. Eating with your hands while smelling the horses, dust floating all around you. What's not to like?
I'm not sure the kids had any idea what to expect, but they were intrigued while we waited to go inside. Before entering, we were assigned a color with a paper crown and a flag, which told us which horse and knight we would cheer for. Once we went inside the theater, there were two distinct experiences going on: the tournament and the food.
We were greeted by our server, dressed in medieval garb. She asked about allergies and if there were any vegetarians. The drink choices included unsweetened iced tea, water, or Pepsi. After much debate, the older boys were allowed to try Pepsi for the first time. And of course, they loved it. Grown-ups can order drinks from the bar, and there's a separate server taking those orders.
Our meal began with garlic bread and tomato soup, poured into a pewter bowl with a handle. The soup was hot, therefore the bowl was hot. And yes, it was a bit tricky to eat. Really? No utensils for the whole meal? Yep, really.
Next, roasted chicken, a large spare rib, and a couple of herbed potato chunks. Apparently, the little one was hungry because faced with this plate full of foods he normally wouldn't eat, he decided the chicken was his best bet and ate more meat than he has in the last 2 years.
Apple strudel finished off the meal. When they're finished distributing food, they come around with take-home containers. The meal time goes fast and it is a lot of meat to eat. Many people walked out of the theater with their leftovers in hand.
Unlike regular dinner theater, where you eat and then there's a show, the performance at medieval times is happening the entire time you're eating. There's a storyline, but it's not complicated. The king and the princess are overseeing a jousting competition. There's a small twist when a stranger comes to the castle. Audience members cheer for their knight, and someone wins in the end.
The storyline was sort of irrelevant because it was the skill of the horses and their riders that was truly entertaining. Of course, for 3 young boys, the knights wielding various weapons of warfare during the tournament was the real excitement.
There were breaks in the jousting. A royal falconer and his falcon performed for the king's guests, as well as this beautiful horse's dance.
There was lots of interaction with the audience, including the king announcing birthdays and celebrations, and knights throwing carnations to female guests, and a guest being honored by the princess and winning knight. Medieval times was an interesting and fun experience for all of us. The most appealing part of it is that it is different. It is not every day that we have dinner in a jousting arena.
I think if we went again, we'd order a couple of vegetarian meals to mix and match with all the meat.
Highlight for the kids?
The show. And buying a sword. The battling and the jousting and the eating.
Highlight for the parents? Well, I liked the whole thing.
As evidenced by the swords and shields they bought afterwards, the kids liked it. There are 9 medieval times castles across North America, including one in Toronto, so there's a pretty good possibility we'll witness another joust.
I get asked about cameras a lot, and one of the questions I get asked the most is, still cameras that shoot video, or video cameras that can take stills? Well, that depends on your wants or needs. For some, the smartphone is all they need. It captures the moments, allows you to instantly share on social media, and it's really portable. Well, I like all of that. The issue I have with smartphones is one of quality. Of course, they used to be much worse and have become way better, but they still lack high resolution with that tiny little lens and that small little sensor. These devices will give you both video and stills in a pinch, but for holiday memories, only if I have to. For some, they like the point and shoots, still quite portable and pretty easy to use. The resolution on these is much better than your smartphone. They were designed for taking pictures and video was added because they had to. However, the lenses weren't designed for long zooms. Depending upon your needs, these might be all you need. Switching gears to video cameras or camcorders, most of these are a lot like the point and shoot cameras, but designed from a video standpoint. Better and longer zooms, quieter operation, make camcorders ideal for taking video. So what works best for you? Visit KinderJet.com and join the discussion on this and other family travel topics. This was our first trip with the kids to Universal Studios Hollywood. It was January 1st, and although the holiday programs were officially wrapped up at Universal, the place was still decked out in Grinchmas cheer.
As we walked into the park, we took a look at our map and schedule, and there was a special effects demonstration happening right away, so we made that our first stop. It wasn't until I saw the fake blood and heard the little one say, "That must really hurt," that it occurred to me to explain to him that it was not real. I know, parent of the year.
The special effects show was quite good, and the boys were hooked all the way through. Audience participation and a bit of humor made it even more fun. After that, we decided it was time for...
Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece.
Okay, let's be clear. Jimmy Fallon was not sitting up front of the tram pointing out the points of interest. There was a nice young woman doing that. Jimmy was pre-recorded and edited and on the video monitor.
Touring the front lot, stages where they actually shoot current TV programs and movies. Touring the back lot, always the most interesting part of a studio. Life-size sets used for many of our favorite shows and movies. Then we get to the entertainment part of the tour. The dancing cars were a big hit. Someone's camera got wet, not saying whose.
Yeah, that might have been mine. Anyway, after a few more surprises, an earthquake, a shark,
Better than Disneyland
She should admit, Al and I put a little joke on you.
and the tram tour was over. This long series of escalators takes you to the lower lot. We were ready to explore the rest of the theme park.
This is where we found the rides the older boys really wanted to experience, all of which had a sign like this, which meant there was not much for the little one to do, but wait.
This one was one of the older boys' faves. What is it about getting soaked that makes a ride fun? I don't get it. But they do. Universal Studios Hollywood really is best suited for older kids. There were a couple of places for the little one to climb and play.
After all that waiting, we promised him a sticky treat, which he shared. Then entertainment for all to enjoy. First, Shrek 4D. This is in the theater, where the seats move and water spurts on you at the right moment. Not a roller coaster, but still fun.
Then, Waterworld. This is a big stunt show, and it is impressive. There is a soak zone in the audience, which, of course, the older boys just had to sit in.
none of my family members would go into this one. Maybe next time I'll have to go on my own.
Grandma, the little one, and I rocked out to the Blues Brothers show.
Come on, baby, don't you want to go? Come on.
While I waited for the older boys to go on one last ride. This one was a long wait. Maybe we should have tried it earlier in the day.
Plan ahead what you will do with younger kids while the older ones are on rides. Younger kids under 48 inches will not find lots to do, but splitting up helps keep them busy while the older siblings ride.
Universal is an easy park to do in one day. As always, decide what you absolutely don't want to miss and do those first.
Highlight for the kids.
The Transformers ride. Water World.
Highlight for the parents. The Studio Tour.
A stop at the Universal store on the way out, a cool Grinch t-shirt for me, keychains for the older boys, golf balls for the little one, and a coffee mug for Paul. And we were on our way. A successful day at Universal Studios Hollywood. For us, a day at Disneyland was not necessarily the happiest day of our vacation. First of all, it was crowded, there were long lines for every ride, even the not so exciting ones. Second, it rained and got cold, we were soaked, we spent a ridiculous amount of time buying hoodies and looking for warm, dry places. Third, we tried to do both California Adventure and Disneyland in one day and ended up overwhelmed and without direction. All of that meant we had a decidedly different experience at Disneyland.
One of the reasons we decided to go to Disneyland was to check out the new Cars Land in California Adventure. We have a few fans of the movies in our family, and we've all seen them numerous times. So we made sure we had park hopper tickets and planned to do it all in one day. Well, we were not the only ones who thought this was the place to be.
Cars Land is pretty cool for fans of the Cars movies. It's like being in Radiator Springs. There are 3 rides in Cars Land. This one is the most popular, as you can see. There's a 3-hour wait, and no more fast passes available when we got there. You can pick up a fast pass earlier in the day and come back to a ride at a designated time to wait in a shorter line to get on. When we got there, the fast pass times for most rides were around 11 p.m.
We went on the other 2 rides, each with about a 45-minute wait. The lineup areas for these rides were decorated well, but not particularly entertaining. The kids got restless. While waiting in line, we did catch a glimpse of these guys driving by.
Just as we got on Luigi's Flying Tires, it started to rain. These tires float around on a cushion of air. You have to lean to steer them, and everyone bumps into each other. It's pretty fun. It would have been more fun without the wind and rain.
By the time we got off the tires, it was pouring. The older boys didn't care about the rain and went on another ride. Flicks Flyers in A Bug's Land. The rest of us huddled under a tree trying to stay dry. It was useless.
We started looking for shelter and ended up inside the Disney Animation Building. Turned out to be a highlight of our day, and never would have seen it if not for the rain.
We took part in Animation Academy, where we all learned to draw Jack Skellington, and we got to bring all our drawings home as an awesome souvenir. There were animation video presentations happening all around. The kids loved the 3D Toy Story Zoetrope.
The rain was letting up, and it was getting to be mid-afternoon, so we made the decision to head over to Disneyland. We were not the only ones who thought this was the place to be. Along the way, I was just too cold, and the kids were shivering and wet, so we stopped in a store to buy warmth.
Although we were freezing, we did not want to go home with expensive sweaters we would never wear again. After shopping in a couple of stores, we finally found enough to keep us warm. While we were in this store, we asked someone about the first visit buttons we had seen other people wearing. A few minutes later, he returned with 2, one for Grandma and one for the little one.
Next order of business, food. We kind of thought we'd be able to find somewhere inside to eat. So did lots of other people, so we ended up on a patio at Carnation Cafe with a heater over us. Not bad. The food was great and the yummy coffees warmed us up a bit.
This is a good place to be with a picky eater. We ordered him this peanut butter sandwich plate with everything separate so he could make himself a sandwich or eat the things he liked and leave the rest. Brilliant. While we were eating, it was decided that the next thing everyone absolutely wanted to do was, my favorite, Tomorrowland.
First stop in Tomorrowland was the Star Tours ride. This ride had the very best line of entertainment I have ever seen, which is good because it was a long wait. Star Tours is a Star Wars simulation ride with lots of jerking and jolting. I had my eyes closed for most of it. Both Mom and Dad felt nauseous when it was over. The kids loved it. Even the little one. He was not, however, thrilled about this hat.
By the time that was over, it was dark. Although Disneyland looks really neat at night, darkness only adds to our anxiety about losing our kids. Maybe glow necklaces or something like that would help. Grandma watched the parade, which started while we were in Star Tours. We caught a glimpse of it when we came out.
Now it's dark and we're even colder, but we press on. The children decide to torture their mother on this rotating rocket ride, the Astro Orbiter. It wasn't the rotation that got me. It's the tilting of the rockets as you go up. Yikes.
Tomorrowland has a lot of our family favorites. Autopia has been in our must-do list for Disney since we first took the older boys when they were 3. Autopia in the dark, even more fun.
Then we were ready for some warmth and a break from standing, so it was time for another Tomorrowland fave, the Disneyland monorail. The line wasn't too long, but because we were a group of 6, we did not get on the first train. On the next train, they put us in the special compartment at the end, which was awesome. We had the space all to ourselves, a fantastic view surrounded by windows.
That turned out to be our last ride of the day. We were getting hungry and cold, but wanted to wait for fireworks.
We admired Sleeping Beauty Castle.
We strolled past the amazing It's a Small World, all decorated and lit up for the holidays. We wandered through Toontown in search of indoor dining, and finally we found Village House in Fantasyland. Time for hot chocolate and a snack.
I was ready to scrap the whole fireworks idea and head back to the warm car and home to our warm beds. I really am the weakest link. But the others persisted, and it was a good thing. Once the fireworks show was over, we turned around and headed for the front gate. So did everyone else. The Disney Animation Building is a great place to stay dry in a storm, but it's also worth a stop on a sunny day.
Even though it is extra to carry, I would pack ponchos, an umbrella, maybe even extra socks if there was a chance of rain. Get at least a 2-day pass if you plan to visit both parks. And go early. Highlight for the kids?
Star Tours.
Highlight for the parents. I'm a big fan of fireworks.
It was so packed getting through the crowd. Even the kids felt the need to form a human chain so we didn't lose anyone. Tram back to the car, crank the heat, and relax with a long drive home. One day at Disneyland, complete. The more we travel with our kids, the easier it gets. The good usually outweighs the bad, and the rest will, one day, make us laugh. Every family and every trip is unique. Different things work for different kids at different ages. All parents have stories to tell. Share your family stories, tips, and advice on KinderJet.com.